Welcome to Life Actually by Selene, where I'm just trying to figure out this whole life thing and sharing the lessons and journeys along the way. In this video, I will be talking about these 5 books and the key lessons that each of this book teaches that can actually help you with adulting. So first book is Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before by Dr. Julie Smith. This book was published in 2022, and one of the core messages that really struck me was the importance of self-compassion. We talk a lot about self-love and care, but often we're all lost on how to actually love ourselves. And one of the core messages is the importance of treating yourself with kindness, care, and understanding, especially when you're struggling or when you make mistakes. Dr. Julie shares that constant self-criticism and negative self-talk only breeds more anxiety, insecurity, and unhappiness. So instead, she teaches exercises for reframing your inner voice into, more warm and compassionate one, just as you would talk to a good friend. So for example, instead of bullying yourself with, "You're so lazy and unmotivated," try to say, "You're having a rough time and that's okay. All you can do is try your best." Second key lesson is embracing imperfection instead of chasing this illusion of perfection that's ultimately unattainable and that can only let you down. Dr. Julie explains that perfectionistic tendencies set us up for inevitable disappointment, paralyzing fear of failure, and a constant feeling that we're never good enough. And she teaches that growth, well-being, and confidence actually come from embracing our flaws, imperfections, and vulnerability. Making mistakes is a human thing and nothing to be ashamed of, because they are opportunities for learning and self-compassion. Last but not least, setting boundaries. This book places huge importance on setting and enforcing healthy boundaries, whether it's emotional, physical, or mental. Dr. Julie explains how poor boundaries often stem from fear of guilt, conflict, or others' judgments. And she emphasizes that boundaries are necessary for self-respect, sustainable relationships, and avoiding burnout. She provides scripts and strategies for communicating boundaries compassionately, and one of the examples I really liked was, when communicating a boundary, you have to use I statements from the heart. So for example, I feel disrespected when X happens. I need Y going forward to uphold my well-being. And this way, you clearly deliver your opinion and your feelings, and sets that healthy boundaries. So those were just a few of the powerful lessons from Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before book. It's honestly been life-changing for building my self-awareness, resilience, and confidence through adulthood's ups and downs, and I highly recommend you to check out this book to learn more toolkits and exercises she provides in the book on different topics as well. Next, we have Atomic Habits by James Clear. This one was huge for me in terms of finally establishing that, healthy lifestyles and positive routines. Because let's face it, as adults, we're constantly bombarded with advices, to eat better, exercise more, meditate daily, and wake up early, and all these daunting lifestyle changes. But when you actually try to overhaul everything at once with intense diets, workout regimens, and, strict schedules, you're just setting yourself up for failure and burnout. So that's where James Clear's philosophy of small, incremental habit change is so brilliant. His core message is that making tiny, almost insignificant adjustments to your daily routine will compound into massive, transformative results over time. And one of the tactics I loved from his book was habit stacking. Basically, you identify a habit you already have locked in, then tack on your new habit right after. So that way it's basically piggybacking on an existing routine, so it's much easier to stick with and you will never forget this routine. So for example, I wanted to start a daily meditation practice, but I always struggled to remember or felt too rushed in the mornings, and his advice was to habit stack it by simply doing a 5-minute meditation while I waited for my coffee to brew each day. So this way, you're basically forming new habits easily. And he also talks about you can fail once, you can miss your new habit one day, but you should never miss twice, because if you lapse one day, that's fine because we're human, but do not let it become a multi-day streak of missed habits. Get right back on it the next day so you don't actually completely lose the momentum you have built so far. And honestly, these tiny habit strategies from this book was game changer for me, and I think this will surely help you to shape your more effective and productive healthy lifestyle. So if you struggle with following through on big sweeping lifestyle changes, I can't recommend this book enough. Next we have How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This book basically teaches how to talk with people. This one is for people who struggle with communicating, networking, and just dealing with people in general. Our ability to navigate relationships and connect with others is such an important part of adulting, whether it's at work, in romantic relationships, or for your friendship. And one of the big principles he teaches in this book is being an engaged listener. He explains that one of our deepest psychological needs as humans is to actually feel heard and understood. So instead of just waiting for your turn to talk or only half listening, you actually lean in with your full presence. You have to ask follow-up questions to grasp the other person's perspective, make eye contact, and give affirmative nods to show you're absorbed in what they are saying. And be sure to place your phone face down on the table, of course. Also avoid mentally preparing counter arguments while they are still speaking, because presence is everything in communication. And bonus tip here is, if you're someone who struggles with making eye contact, try to see what color the other person's eyes are, because it will help you to, make longer eye contacts. And another lesson from this book was learning to give sincere, authentic appreciation and compliment. And he shares in his book how powerful it is when making others feel genuinely valued, because life is already tough and difficult enough, so why can't we just share our appreciation? If you see something great about that person, compliment it, because that will brighten up their day, and you can always instantly see how their face just brightens up. Being sincerely appreciative honestly costs nothing, but it builds so much goodwill and warmth in your relationships. And the last big mindset shift for me was around managing disagreements. I used to get really thrown off or flustered anytime there was conflict or, whenever I faced criticism. But his advice was to remain humble and never get combative or, try to prove the other person wrong, but kill them with empathy. So in those moments of tension, one thing we can do is to take a deep breath and try saying something like, I can understand why you might feel that way because of X reason. However, here's my perspective on it, and then your opinion. So by validating their side first and using I statements rather than accusatory you statements, it totally diffuses confrontations before they could even begin. So yeah, I cannot express how much I recommend this book because, if you think you're just an introverted person or you're just shy person, you're wrong, because you can actually apply these skills and techniques in your communication and see how you can actually talk with people better. Because I too am an introverted person, but I think I have been able to converse more with people, and it just eases the networking process for me. Next, we have The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. So basically, in this book, he teaches the art of letting go of past and living in the present. And I think this is an important skill as an adult, because there will be a lot of failures and mistakes, because we're just new and this is our first time being adults, and we're constantly regretting about things that happened in the past, or worrying about things that haven't even happened in the future. So our minds are always somewhere. So his core message is that we so often miss the richness and beauty of this present moment because our minds are always somewhere. So one of the exercises from this book that really hammered this point for me was his recommendation to simply observe your breathing. Like, just take a few minutes, put all your awareness on the physical sensation of each inhale and exhale. It seems simple, but when you actually try it, you'll probably realize, like I did, just how rare it is, you're actually grounded in the here and now moment. Because our minds have this tendency to obsessively relive past traumas, regrets, and embarrassing moments on an endless reel. Or we're just thinking about future what-ifs and hypotheticals that haven't even happened yet. So by focusing on our present physical experience, we can actually start to cherish and, appreciate these little joys and sensations we would normally tune out. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of rain on the roof, the flavor of a delicious meal. It will all become more vivid and appreciated. He talks about recognizing and separating from that nagging, judgmental voice in your head that can too often run on autopilot. He calls it the pain body and says you don't have to be, fused with it or get taken prisoner by its neurotic thoughts. You're not your mind. Just the act of labeling it as the pain body actually will help you to develop more distance from that overly critical inner monologue. And I started meeting those negative thoughts with more ease and detachment rather than compulsively engaging with them after labeling those thoughts as pain body. So overall, The Power of Now provided such a powerful framework for being liberated from the mental prisons of the past and future, so we could actually be more immersed in this one precious life happening right here, right now. And his teachings brought me more authentic presence, joy, and appreciation for each moment, I think. So again, I highly recommend this book, and of course there is so much more in this book than what I just talked about. Lastly, we have The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, which teaches all about finance and how money really works in life. Managing finances can be one of the huge sources of stress, confusion, and insecurity for young adults. And understanding how to budget wisely, pay down debts more strategically, invest for your future self, or really just establish control over your financial situation are key lessons you will be able to learn from this book. So in the book, Housel explains the infinite power of compounding interest over the long term by giving the example of two different people with different investment styles. So first person starts investing $300 per month from age of 22 to 32, but then stops investing entirely after that. Then we have the second person who procrastinates and doesn't even know how investment works, and he finally starts investing at the age of 35, but then he has to dump in like $700 per month from that age until retirement age to catch up. Guess which person ends up with more wealth by the age of 65? The answer is the one who started early. This teaches the importance of saving and investments in those young adult years when the magic of compounding interest over many decades is still on your side. Housel also shared so many refreshingly honest insights into how our psychology and emotional relationships with money tend to be flawed or self-sabotaging. In an age of instant gratification, he emphasizes the power of delaying present pleasures to let patient, disciplined habits snowball into future wealth. His overarching message is to be intentional and take a long-term view with your finances. Don't just thoughtlessly spend yourself into oblivion chasing status symbols you can't even afford. Respect the almighty power of consistently showing up month after month to gradually build assets, play smart games with your money. And honestly, the financial philosophies in this book have completely reframed how I operate and make choices around saving, spending, and investing as a responsible adult, so highly recommend this book as well. Alright, thank you so much for tuning in. Just one thing to say is that the key lessons I've shared in this video are just the tips of the iceberg of all the lessons I've learned from these incredible 5 books. So I highly recommend you to check them out, gain more practical life lessons that can actually help you with adulting. So until next time, take care and keep dreaming.